24 News coming to you live from Tel Aviv this hour. We begin as Egypt announced to Hamas that they are closing the Rafah border crossing with the Gaza Strip until further notice for quote-unquote security reasons. Now, the move appeared to be an expression of anger from Cairo after Hamas held violent protests on the border with Israel, in which an Israeli soldier was shot and critically wounded, along with dozens of Palestinians also injured as they came to confront the IDF. Now, initial findings from the Israeli military's investigation into the violence there along the border on Saturday indicated the troops were caught unprepared for the sudden rush of rioters toward the security fence. You see the attack playing out there in this video here. It's soldiers there saying the rules of engagement were unclear, leading the troops to hold off on taking any measures to stop the attack. We're in the studio now with our defense correspondent, Jonathan Regev, to take a closer look at the situation. Jonathan, first, status. What is the status currently of Bar El Shmuley, the 21-year-old soldier shot in the head, as far as we understand? What do we know about his condition?
Still in a critical condition in hospital, still with life-threatening injuries, and of course the doctors are doing everything possible to hopefully get him better. A lot of discomfort in the Israeli army looking at these images, and let's understand they happen completely within Israeli territory. That wall is a few yards inside Israel. The old wall, the very low wall, which obviously is very easy to pass, is on the border itself. This wall is a few yards, a very short distance inside Israeli territory, but in Israeli territory. A Palestinian terrorist coming with a gun, shooting an Israeli soldier through that little hole inside Israeli territory, trying to grab his machine gun. Everything happening in Israeli territory. A very uneasy images there for the Israeli security establishment.
What's the army saying so far, their initial assessment of how and why that incident was able to take place?
As you said, the rules of engagement, of opening of fire, are clearly, were not clear enough for the soldiers. That soldier who was there behind the wall, and that was basically what saved his life, let's hope so, but he's not really able to maneuver with his gun. And the criticism basically states that the Israeli army is putting a lot of emphasis on defensive capabilities, not so much, at least here, on offensive capabilities.
Now, we see Egypt's decision at what appears to be some form of punishment to Hamas now, shutting the border here. How does this change the dynamic around Gaza? But is it also perhaps a sign of progress in other areas that Egypt, Israel, Hamas, that we had been reading there, released reports indicating there was arrangements in place? What do we know?
That's what angers the Egyptians so much. On Friday, less than 24 hours before these images, there were reports actually confirmed somewhat by Hamas that there has been some sort of an agreement to allow the Qatari money to go in through the United Nations, because Israel does not want the money to go in anymore with those suitcases of dollars as we've seen before. So we hear that there's some kind of an agreement with the Qatari money, with Egypt involved. So what happens less than 24 hours later? All these clashes and the Israeli soldier getting critically injured. The Egyptians are furious. They close the Rafah border crossing. Guess what is somewhat cynical, I would say? The Kerem Shalom crossing from Israel into Gaza, that is still open.
With hundreds of trucks full of goods and fuel flowing through. Underreported, in my opinion, there. But thanks for drawing that to our viewers' attention. Jonathan Regev, defense correspondent, on the latest around Gaza.